All aboard!
Let the people of God say amen.
Amen.
You can say amen again.
Amen. Yes.
First of all, I acknowledge, honor, magnify, glorify, revere, extol, and praise the one whom the psalmist declared is from everlasting to everlasting,
Yes, sir.
and whom the Revelation describes as the one who was, who is, and who is to come. The God of our weary years, the God of our silent tears, the one who, according to Brother Johnson, brought us thus far on the way. I also express my deepest gratitude to the astute leaders, planners, coordinators, and executors of this crucial and much needed organization, the Overground Railroad. I thank you for your important work and for this invitation to share with this noble assembly of business, community, and faith leaders. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Turpo. Thank you, my friend and my brother, the Reverend Timothy McDonald.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, all of you who, again, share in what we are attempting to do here. To Brother Derek Bozeman, who boldly dispenses too much truth, especially for tyrants, racists, oppressors, and other sinister exploiters of our people.
Watch out, preacher.
To the Deliverance Mass Choir and its profusely talented director, the Reverend James Bignan, who has masterfully reminded us in message and in music that God is great, that we serve a mighty God, that God's name is excellent, and that we can get on the other side of through. To my fellow clergy persons who are in the house tonight, to my brothers and sisters who are business representatives, to community leaders, to the descendants of Araminta Ross, more commonly known as Conductor Harriet Tubman. She was one of the greatest champions for freedom this world has ever seen. I also want to say to my lovely wife who is here with us tonight, to the happy preacher.
Yes, sir.
And I see a few brothers and sisters here from Zion Hill Baptist Church. I greet you with a shared concern for our community and a desire to improve the important work that has already been done. As I understand it, my primary task this evening is to offer a few comments on your well-stated theme, inspired by the past, prepared for the present, and excited about the future. Inspired by the past, prepared for the present, and excited about the, inspired by the past, prepared for the present, and excited about the future. People of African descent in this nation should have no problem finding ample inspiration from the past. To paraphrase the author of Hebrews 12, we can emphatically declare that we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. These witnesses stir us to run with patience the race that is set before us. We can start this litany of witnesses with our posthumous honoree, Sister Tubman. She spoke masterfully words of encouragement that said, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach the stars and to change the world. Now, coming from one with less credibility than Sister Tubman, this may seem like empty babble of a skilled rhetorician. But coming from a woman who risked life, limb, and reputation to save her people, this statement possesses power to change us. If she could reach for the stars to change the world amid the dogged determination of slave catchers under the ominous cloud of enormous bounties placed on her head in the vicious social environment of the 1850 fugitive slave law, and despite the reluctance of some of those she tried to save, surely we, in the absence of such stark encumbrances, can reach for effective ways and means to further the lot of our communities. Yes, we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. I have for a long time been encouraged by the pioneering work of the early 20th century mass movement leader Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Though many in popular culture have reduced his legacy to a Back to Africa campaign, he stands as one of the giants in teaching African Americans about doing for themselves socially, ideologically, spiritually, and economically. His worldwide Universal Negro Improvement Association founded numerous business interests in an attempt to foster self-reliance among our people. The group established restaurants, grocery stores, laundries, a doll factory, a hat factory, a printing press, a tailoring enterprise, a trucking firm, a hotel, a very popular international newspaper called the Negro World, and a shipping venture known as the Black Star Line. Most of this was accomplished in the late 1910s, 20s, and 30s, a time sorely saturated with excessive lynchings, mass disenfranchisement, race riots, and black disillusionment with empty American promises that it would get better for its people of color. Garvey urges all of us to be courageous in pursuing the strengthening of our community despite seemingly insurmountable odds or the antagonistic circumstances of Garvey's life and work. He bids us not to fear. He says, don't fear. Do not fear. He said humans being created equal should not fear man but God. He said to fear is to lose control of one's nerves. It is to flutter like a dying fowl, losing consciousness yet alive. I tell you, we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. Let me mention another great soul, Sister Mary McLeod Bethune, one of 17 children born to former slaves. Bethune was a leader in the Black Women's Club movement and served as president of the National Association of Colored Women. She became a delegate and advisor to national conferences on education, child welfare, and home ownership from 1936 to 1944. She served as director of Negro Affairs in the National Youth Administration. Moreover, she was sought to give advice to the U.S. Secretary of War in the selection of the first female candidates. The U.S. government appointed her as consultant on interracial affairs Affairs at the Charter Conference of the United Nations. Still further, she was the founder of the National Council of Negro Women and became vice president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Throughout her lifetime, she received many honors and awards, but probably her most outstanding and lasting achievement, and the one that may give us the greatest reason to celebrate her life, is the founding of the Daytona Normal and Industrial Institute for Negro Girls. Reportedly, my brothers and sisters, Bethune had only $1.50 when she opened her school in October of 1904. She used that meager sum to rent an old two-frame building in Daytona Beach, Florida. She had only 6 pupils. She had 5 girls and her own boy. Because there were no funds left for equipment and supplies, Bethune used crates for a desk and charcoal for pencils, and ink came from crushed elderberries. The school later, of course, became Bethune-Cookman University. I said we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses who provide ample inspiration for our current work. We speak here of witnesses like the black pharaoh Narmer-Menes, the first historic king of ancient Kemet or Egypt, who almost 6,000 years ago established the first nation state on the banks of the majestic Nile River. We speak here of witnesses like the sage, priest, scribe, architect, astronomer, and prophet Imhotep, whose unparalleled genius enabled him to lead the world into a radically new phase of cultural development. We look here to witnesses like the female ruler of Egypt, Hatshepsut, who reigned for 33 years and built some of the most splendid, awe-inspired structures in this storied ancient land. We consider witnesses like Hannibal of Carthage, who at one time was the chief military strategist in the world and became famous for crossing the treacherous Alps to do battle with the mighty Roman army. Some of the other great witnesses of African descent include Yaqub el-Mensa, the greatest of the African rulers of Spain in the 12th century AD, Samuel Coleridge Taylor, England's greatest musical sensation of the 19th century, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, liberator and emperor of Haiti, Richard Hill, Jamaican scientist and anti-slavery agitator, Frederick Douglass, the mighty lion champion of abolitionism, Sojourner Truth, the trumpeting herald for black and women's rights, Sarah Braidlove Walker, a.k.a. Madam C.J. Walker, the first African-American female millionaire, Ida B. Wells Barnett, anti-lynching crusader, reporter, and activist for racial justice, William Monroe Trotter, Booker Taylor Farrell Washington, William Burkhart Du Bois, scholar par excellence, educator and human rights activist, Carter G. Woodson, the formidable and faithful father of black history. And what about Robeson and Randolph, Henson and Hamer, Parks and Powell, Medgar and Mays, Baldwin and Baker, Bevel and Borders, Marshall and Muhammad, Malcolm and Martin. Oh yes, we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. Witnesses who under some of the most trying and troublesome circumstances gave of their time, gave of their talent, gave of their resources, and some even gave their lives for the betterment of our people. Witnesses who bore their burdens in the heat of the day and did not think it robbery to sacrifice for future generations. Witnesses who face social, political, economic, psychological, and even spiritual warfare and yet refuse to quit. Witnesses who left a legacy so intense, so stellar, so illustrious, so distinguished that the mere mentioning of their legacy should promptly propel us into the struggle for truth, justice, and righteousness. Brothers and sisters, I just stopped by to tell somebody tonight that we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. Indeed, we are inspired by the past. past. And this historical inspiration in part is what makes us better prepared for the present. When we consider the monumental sacrifices of those who have gone before us, how they toiled, how they sweated, how they pressed, how they agitated, how they organized, how they bled, how they died, we should enthusiastically seize every opportunity to correct, to equip, to revive, and empower our people. We have, for example, enough skill, enough know-how, and enough resources to lower the still alarmingly high rates of poverty among our people. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, African Americans continue to have the highest poverty rate of every other demographic group. It stands at 27.4%. This means that more than 1 out of every 4 black people, 1 out of every 4 black people are officially classified as poor. Compare this with only 26% of Hispanics, 12.1% of Asians, and 9.9% of whites who live below the poverty line. From a practical standpoint, however, we can interpret this rate as being much higher. For when we consider that the poverty threshold for a family of 4 is only $22,113, and for a single parent with 2 children is only $17,568, poverty in all likelihood is much more widespread than the statistics show. Brothers and sisters, we can do something about these problematic factors with the human and material assets we have in our midst. This is what you have been talking about all day long. This can permit me just to lift up a couple of examples of how this has been done. Ulysses Bridgman Jr. was picked in the first round of the 1975 NBA draft by the Los Angeles Lakers, but he was immediately traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, where he became a successful shooting guard. After his 12-year pro career, he purchased 5 Wendy's franchises to generate some post-basketball income. In 2009, he reportedly owned 161 Wendy's and 118 Chili's restaurants, and he employs more than 11,000 people. Since very few of us will ever have a chance to play in the NBA, let me call up another example. Janice Bryant Howrod of Palos Verdes, California, the 4th of 11 children. She took a job as an assistant at a Billboard magazine. She left that job to start a staffing firm that was called A1 in 1978. She only had $976 in savings. She borrowed another $533 from a family. She built up a clientele just via word of mouth and just cold calls on the telephone. Today, her firm generates annual revenues approaching $1 billion. What is even more important about Sister Howrod is that in 2004, she donated $10 million to her HBCU alma mater, North Carolina A&T. I know there are similar testimonies right here in this room. I tell you, we have the resources, human and material, to employ our unemployed, to serve our underserved, to shatter the social and the hard economic shackles that bind and burden our youth, to steady our often staggering community, and to generally strengthen our people. We have the resources, human and material, to turn disadvantage into advantage, persecution into prosperity, setback into success, grave failure into good fortune. We have the resources, both human and material. We are intelligent enough, experienced enough, wealthy enough, numerous enough. We are astute enough, daring enough, educated enough, tested enough. All we need to do is to add enough commitment and dedication dedication to this worthy cause of lifting our people. Yes, because we have been inspired by the past, we are prepared for the present, and this is what makes us so excited about the future. We are excited about the future. Doors of opportunity are open to us. We must walk through them. Paths for accomplishing much have been cleared, so we must tread them. Before us appear lofty peaks of progress and achievement. We must climb them. We stand on the brink of unprecedented breakthroughs. We must forge toward them. We have a cause to be excited about the future. You have gathered here for all-day workshops to make contacts, improve skills, gain knowledge, and offer encouragement to one another so that you can better serve our families, neighborhoods, and communities. We have cause to be excited about the future, for we are in the midst of a substantive socio-political paradigm shift from exclusive white male domination to what our bold brother Reverend Jesse Jackson prophetically called a rainbow coalition. We have cause to be excited about the future. We don't have to take a back seat to anybody. We don't have to bow and scrape to anybody. We don't have to deny our true identities for anybody. We don't have to surrender our legal rights to anybody. We have cause to be excited about the future. But our greatest reason, brothers and sisters, for excitement, our greatest reason to be elated is still our unconquerable faith that God, the God of heaven and earth, the God of time and eternity, is yet with us. This is how we stand against the treacherous odds. God is with us. This is how we recover after prophets have sunk. God is with us. This is how we persevere when the battle burns hot. God is with us. This is how we come back after a setback. God is with us. And I heard the cosmopolitan apostle of Tarsus pose this rhetorical question: if God be for us, if God be for us, if God be for us, who can be against us? This means if God supplies us, who can defeat us? If God finances us, who can bankrupt us? If God guides us, who can mislead us? If God installs us, who can unseat us? If God protects us, who can harm us? If God confirms us, who can deny us? If God defends us, who can defeat us? If God redeems us, who can enslave us? With God, our resources don't run out. Our lights don't go out. Our dreams don't fade out. Our arms don't give out. Our minds don't burn out. Our spirits don't bail out. Our hearts don't drop out. Our souls don't fall out. With God, our families get fixed up. Shackles get broken up. The oppressed get freed up. Opportunities get opened up. With God, I've seen so many recoveries, witnessed so many heartbreaks, beheld so many turnabouts, observed so many rebirths. God, both now and in the future, God is with us. God is with us, sustaining us and supplying us and delighting us and fulfilling us and restoring us and reforming us and repairing us and protecting us and lifting us and procuring us. With God, we've got a reason to be excited. For I listened to the old prophet who said, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Over ground